Hey everybody, I just want to make a quick video about stats anxiety. This is one of my go-to examples in a lot of my courses, but it's also something that we all deal with. So stats anxiety is any apprehension that a student feels when they see statistics in any form and at any level. And that's really important to know because it might not be in a statistics class that you feel anxiety. It might actually be a research class or a content class where you're presented with some sort of statistics or data that you have to work through. And you could also not feel any stats anxiety until you get to an advanced level stats class. And all of a sudden you could be dealing with this for the first time. And everybody deals with this. This is from my PhD days on my Facebook that you can definitely see everybody experiences this. And I got a PhD in statistics. So it's just something that you work through. And I promise you can work through it. There are some things about you that can actually affect your stats anxiety. It can increase or decrease your stats anxiety. And this is a lot of research-based evidence that we have. And that starts with self-perceptions. So two things here that if you feel like you're not a math person, you probably have higher stats anxiety than other people. And that's okay. Just because you don't feel like a math person doesn't mean you don't get to be a stats person. I know a lot of people who don't feel like they're math people, but they actually found that they love statistics. And it also might be the first time that you're questioning your intellectual ability. That sounds silly, but you know you're smart. You know that you're capable, you've signed up for a master's or a doc, you were in this program. But what could be happening is that this is the first time you've really struggled in a course and you're not used to that feeling. You're not used to having to study, or your study habits aren't working the same way for other classes. That's why I provide so much support on creating cheat sheets and creating vocab lists and note-taking strategies, because this course, statistics courses, the learning is so different. It's actually closer to language learning than a lot of your other content courses. There are other things about you that might be bubbling up. Do you feel like there's no hope for you to ever be a math person and therefore you could never be a quantitative researcher because you need to check yourself? That's a lie. Nothing about that statement is true. I promise you, you can be a quantitative researcher. You can be a stats person, even if you don't feel like you're that math person. Also, everybody's a math person, but it could also be that you're a perfectionist. You know who you are. And you're struggling with the new content and the new writing because you have this perfectionist quality that is interfering with your ability to get feedback and present things that you feel aren't perfect. We need that back and forth with feedback so that we can get you to that perfection level. So don't be afraid to ask for help. And it could also be that you're afraid of instructor disapproval or peer disapproval, or that you sound dumb. And I promise you, you don't sound dumb. Please, please, please ask questions. Learning stats is an iterative process, and you need to get through some of that anxiety by talking to people and asking questions. Avoidance is a huge problem that's just going to increase your stats anxiety tenfold. So what happens is when you feel like you're not good at something, or it's adding anxiety to your life, and you have this negative or threatening stimulus, it's natural to avoid that. And what that does is it lends to procrastinating the learning and the assignments. And so you're trying to do cram sessions on Sunday night and do all of it at once, and it's not going to go very well. So really, really check your avoidance and procrastination strategies. There are research-supported instructor and course things that I am doing intentionally to hopefully bring down some of that anxiety. So one of the things that I do is I pare down the content. It may not seem like that, but it's all very chunked. So we just do chi-square, and then we talk about all of the assumptions, how to do it, what it means, practice. We walk through all these different parts to get to the final. I provide as many real life examples as possible. And while they may not be your content examples, I hope that you can actually see how that would work over here so that you can apply it to your content. The exam format allows for groups. It allows for check for understandings that you can take multiple times. I do homework assignments that you can work in groups with. I also provide an entire week and not a 3-hour sit-down test format for the midterm and the final. Instructor-specific things. Student proximity is a little bit odd with an online class, but I do really work on being available, and so do the TAs. I spend a lot of time trying to reassure you that you are capable, that I do believe in you, and I truly do. I hope that I am approachable. I don't think that I am a scary person at all, especially once you get to know me. And I do try to use humor because I think I'm funny and nobody else understands my stats memes, so I hope that you do. We work really hard to provide prompt feedback. That prompt word is always a little bit hard some weeks. And then literally taking the time to discuss stats anxiety and not just throwing it under the rug and pretending like it doesn't exist. Directly addressing stats anxiety does actually help, and is a research proven strategy to decrease anxiety. But then there's also stuff that you can be doing to help yourself reduce and manage your stats anxiety. So I want you to pause this video and reflect on a few things. So first of all, what are your coping strategies when you start to feel anxious? General anxiety, forget stats anxiety. What do you do when you feel anxious? Does that apply to stats anxiety? How can you avoid procrastination? I know that this is extremely hard when you already have a really full schedule. You're working full time, you're taking courses full time. This is not the only course that you have. You have all kinds of other stuff happening. How can you work on that and try to avoid procrastination and spread the learning out? How are you asking for help? Are you talking to your group? Are you talking to the TAs? Are you talking to the instructor? You have to get comfortable with being vulnerable. Fake it if you don't if you don't know how to do this right now. But you've got to be willing to take those risks. And the more that you do that, the more comfortable it gets, because you need the feedback and to not be perfect in order to get your learning solidified. So keep asking questions. What are you doing about your self-talk and your feelings in that moment? Really think about trying to journal. Pay attention to the negative stimuli that come through, but don't dwell on it. Don't get so caught up in, I hate JASP and this isn't working, and then you can't move forward. Take a breath, walk away, come back to it, whatever it takes. Really check your self-efficacy. Do you believe that you can do this? What evidence is there to confirm or contradict that? Because I'll tell you right now, every single person in this class is passing. So far, you have showed me that you can do stats, even though it may not feel like that. Acknowledge what you have evidence for and what is a wrong self-talk. And then, do you feel like statistics is worthwhile? So research has actually found that if you have a positive view of the worth of statistics, or you at least know, I need this information for my career or for something, that can provide an anchor to help ground you and pull you through this content and get you help through this course. And then most importantly though, when you are documenting and you are acknowledging these feelings in that moment, come back to them. So complete the task at hand and come back to them. Note the change, that the anxiety is gone once you figure out that you can do the homework, that you were successful in the homework. Acknowledge that, hold on to that, and consider giving yourself a reward when you get through something. The little tricks of your mind really do help, whether that is chocolate or just playing with your dog. Or I had a doc student that would give herself smelly candles. She would allow herself to go to Bed Bath & Beyond and pick out a candle after a big event that has happened. What are you doing to reward yourself? Because stats anxiety isn't something that just immediately goes away. It's something that becomes manageable, and you are able to acknowledge your feelings, check your feelings, and move through those feelings and through that stats anxiety. But it doesn't always go away. It just becomes manageable.